Hello everyone, I'm Richard. Welcome to Tutors Jamaica. Today we'll be doing a math class on algebra and we'll be covering the topic of transposition. Now this is going to be particularly important throughout math. So let's go. Now at this point in time I do not have any other algebra videos, and so I'll be going through just a little basic before we get down to the actual lesson of transposition. So let's go. So what is algebra? Well, if you should be, if you're in ninth grade, which is the target audience for this, you should know that algebra is a study of mathematical symbols and the rules for manipulating these symbols. Algebra is the branch of mathematics that uses letters and symbols to represent known and unknown quantities. Letters near the beginning of the alphabet are mostly used for known quantities such as A, B, or C, while letters to the end of the alphabet are usually used for unknown quantities such as X, Y, or Z. So, in algebra you'll hear terms, expression, and equation. So, an algebraic term is either a single number or variable, or a number and variable multiplied together. Terms are separated by a plus or minus sign, or sometimes by divide. 2a or b or 7 are examples of terms. The other one we have to talk about is expression. An algebraic expression is built up from integer, constants, variable, and algebraic operation. For example, 3x squared minus 2xy plus c is an algebraic expression, right? Since we are talking about square, since we are taking the square root is the same as raising to the power, so it's also an algebraic expression. So note well, it does not have an equal sign. So 2x plus y, algebraic expression, we don't know what that is. We just know that 2x plus y. We don't know that anything else about 2x plus y. All we know is 2x plus y. So there is no equal sign. While an algebraic equation is a set of two expressions that are equal to each other. For example, 3x squared minus 2xy plus c is equal to 0. So the fact that there's an equal sign in there, it means that one expression is equal to the other expression, and so that is what we call an equation. So algebraic term, examples of algebraic term is pi r squared, 2, 3x squared, the square root of 4x, 2xy. Terms make up expressions and equations. So an algebraic expression, what are examples? Now algebraic equations, algebraic expressions can sometimes be simplified but cannot be solved because we don't know enough to solve them. So for example, 2a squared plus 3a plus a can be simplified as 2a squared plus 4a. We cannot add 2a squared and 4a because they are raised to different indices. So 2a squared has a squared for its indices, for its index, while 4a does not have an index. So we assume the index to be 1. So because of that fact, we cannot add them. Now, pi r squared, this cannot be simplified because there's nothing to add or do anything to. So that we can't do anything more with that. Now note that pi r squared is also in a algebraic term, and so all algebraic terms are expressions, but not all algebraic expressions are algebraic terms. So mx plus c, this cannot be simplified. Ax squared plus bx plus c, this cannot be simplified either. 2c plus 3c minus 4c plus c. So usually what we would want to do is we want to group all the positives and the negatives together. So in this case we group 2c plus 3c plus c, and then we have minus 4c by itself. So after adding all of the c's, we'd get 6 c's, and then we'd subtract 4 c's, and that would give us 2 c's. So 2c plus 3c minus 4c plus c is the same as saying just 2c. Expression can be simplified, as I said, but they cannot be solved because we don't know what they're equal to, so they cannot be solved. So algebraic equations, on the other hand, can be solved. For example, a equal pi r squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. X is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That equation is something that we will actually be looking at when we reach factorization. 2a plus b equals c. That is also something that we can solve. P equal 2l plus 2w, and maybe you recognize this. This is the formula for finding the perimeter of a is rectangle. So an equation consists of two expressions joined by an equal sign. Both sides of the expression are equal, so we must maintain the equality of the expression when we go about doing our manipulation. So we have operations. Now there are 4 basic operations: plus, minus, multiply, and divide. There are also other operations such as n, which is to raise something to the nth power, the cube root, 4 root, or square root. Every operation has its opposite. So the opposite, let's look at opposite operations. Addition is the opposite of subtraction, so therefore subtraction is also the opposite of addition, and this will be important in doing transposition. Multiplication is the opposite of division. This is also going to be important in doing transposition. Square is the opposite of square root, and this will be important in doing transposition. Knowing the opposite of the opposite operation is going to be important for doing transposition, because when you move something from one side to the other, you must use the opposite operation. Now, transposition. What is this transposition that I've been speaking about all this time? Transposition is to do the same thing mathematically to both sides of the equation with the aim of bringing like terms together and isolating a or the variable or a or the unknown quantity. So the thing that you are trying to solve for, you want to get it by itself on one side of the equation and everything else on the other side of the equation. Now, to transpose an algebraic term from one side or to the other, we must use the opposite operation. For example, if 2a plus b equals c, to make b the subject of the that is to get b on one side of the equation by itself, we must get rid of the 2a on the side with b, so we need to get it on the other side. To do this, we must use the opposite operations. So let's look at this example that we just mentioned. To make 2a plus b, to make b the subject of the formula. So what's the first thing we need to do? Now we need to understand that if there is no plus or minus sign in front of a number, it is a plus. So we know that we are adding 2a. So we would say we literally write plus 2a plus b equal plus c. However, as we say, we once there is no symbol in front of the number, we assume or we know that it's supposed to be plus. So we don't write plus, but we know that it is adding on the left side of the equation in this case. So to reverse this, we must use the opposite operation, which is subtraction, right? So 2a minus 2a plus b is equal to c. However, in order to maintain equality, anything we do to one side of the equation, we must do to the other side of the equation, right? Because as it is now, this equation is not true. So to make this equation true, we need to add a minus 2 to the other side of the equation. So now we have 2a and minus 2a. Now these two, because they are opposite, will cancel each other out. So what we end up with is b plus b equal c minus 2a. So, and we just spoke about plus b being the same as just b. So what we get is b is equal to c minus 2a as our answer. And that's what you write. Don't write plus b equals c minus 2a. You just write b equals c minus 2a. So transposition. We're about to look at some more examples. So as you'll see them come on screen now. P equal 2L plus 2W, and we're going to make L the subject of the formula. B over 3 plus 2 is equal to 5, and we're going to make B the subject of the formula. 2x plus 7 is equal to 4x plus 1, and we're going to make x the subject of the formula. V equal LWH, and we're going to make W the subject of the formula. X equal 2y minus 7, and we're going to make y the subject of the formula. A equal pi r squared, and we're going to make r the subject of the formula. So I'm going to go through these one at a time. I'm going to give you a 20-second time for you to go through and try to attempt each of these before I explain on screen. You can always pause the video, right, if you need more time, and write your answer in the comments below and see how many of these you will be able to get correct. So the first one equals 2L plus go. Let's look at this. P equal 2L plus 2W, and we're going to make L the subject of the formula. So we write down our equation. P equal to 2L plus 2W. So what we need to do, we need to get rid of 2W on the side with 2L. So that's the first thing we need to do. So we subtract 2W, but remember, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you must do it on the other side of the equation to maintain equilibrium, or to maintain equality, or to maintain balance. So we have to put a minus 2W on the other side. So we end up with P minus 2W equal 2L. So now we have a 2 beside the L, and so we must divide both sides by 2. So 2 would cancel 2. So we end up with P minus 2W over 2 is equal to 2L over 2. And you know, as I said, 2 cancel 2. So we end up with P minus 2W over 2 equal L. And we can just turn around this formula because we can just swap sides. Alright? So that won't affect the formula. So it's the same, that's the same as saying L equal P minus 2W over 2. Now, the reason why we write it this way is we write the L first because that's what we want to find. So we want to make people know that this is what we are trying to find, the L. Right? So that is why we write that first. Now, if you got L equal P over 2 minus W, that is also correct. That is the same as what we have here. And I can show you that in a future video why those are the same. So let's look at this other one. B over 3 plus 2 equal 5. And we are going to make B the subject of the formula. Again, 20 seconds to go ahead and try this one. Right, so now we're going to make B the subject of the formula. As I said, B over 3 plus 2 equal 5. So firstly, we, as usual, we write down our equation. So the first thing we need to do is to subtract. We subtract 2 from each side. So because, as I said, anything you do to one side, you need to do to the other. We are subtracting 2 here to get rid of the plus 2, we must subtract 2. And anything you do to one side of the equation, you must also do to the other side of the equation to maintain equilibrium. So we end up with B over 3 is equal to 5 minus 2, or just B over 3 is equal to 3. So what we need to do now, we have a 3 here. We have 3. And what is the 3 doing? It is dividing the B. So how do we get rid of divide? What's the opposite operation for divide? The opposite operation, of course, is multiplication. So we multiply by 3. But we have to multiply both sides by 3. We can't just multiply the one side. So we multiply both sides by 3 to maintain equilibrium. Right? After multiplying both sides by 3, we get B is equal to 9. So we have our final answer. Was that? Did you get that? So we are moving on to the next question. Right? 2x plus 7 is equal to 4x plus 1. This one will be just a little tricky because we have x on both sides. But go ahead and try it. in 20 seconds, and then I'll show you the answer, the solution on screen. Okay, so we're going to make x the subject of the formula. So the first thing we need to do is to move the numbers to one side of the equation and the x's to the other. So the first one way we can do this, and I'm going to go a bit advanced here, is we're going to be moving two things in one step. Alright? So we have a positive 2x, and so we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. We also have a positive 1, so we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. So we're going to do all of that in one step. Alright? So what we end up with is 6. We end up with 6 is equal to 2x. And so we know that x is equal to 6 over 2. Or we can simplify that to just x is equal to 3. Okay, so we can move the x, the smaller x, to the side with the bigger x, and so we end up with a positive x. Right? And that's very simple to work with. But what if we decided to move the bigger x over to where the smaller x is? Because after all, that's the side that has that's the left hand side. That's where the x we want to write x is equal to. So let's look at this another way. Alright, so we start back with our same equation. So we move the numbers to one side, x's to the other side. And we're going to do this in one step again. But in this time, instead of subtracting 2x, you're going to subtract 4x from both sides. And then instead of subtracting 1, we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. So what we end up with is 2x is negative 2x. Negative 2x is equal to negative 6. So we end up with x is equal to negative 6 over negative 2. And we know that the answer for that is 3. So we get back our same answer. So let's look at this next one. Take 20 seconds to try and figure this out, and then I'll show you how to solve this one on screen. Right, so we want to make W the subject of the formula. So what we need to do is we have L and H. Now, one of the things that we should know about algebra, when we have letters, for example, 2a means 2 times a, right? So whenever there is a number next to a letter, or a letter next to a letter, it means that they are multiplying each other. So LWH is really L times W times H. So since the L and the H are multiplying the W in this scenario, we are going to divide both sides by LH. So you see how this one looks scary, and it is quite simple. So what we end up with is V over LH is equal to LWH over LH. So what we end up with is W is equal to V over LH. Quite simple, very easy, right? So let's look at our next one. We're going to make y the subject of this form, this equation. X is equal to 2y minus 4. Take 20 seconds and see if you can solve this. Leave the answer in the comments below, and then I'll show you how to do it on screen. Of course, you can always pause the video if you need more time. Right, so let's look at this. Okay, let's look at this. So to make y the formula of the subject, first we need to get rid of minus 7. What's the opposite of minus 7? Opposite of minus 7 is plus 7. Now here's a trick. This is where it's going to get a bit advanced. Right now, I've been explaining that you should do the same thing on both sides. However, think about it like this. When you take minus 7 and you move it over the equal side, it becomes the opposite of whatever it is. Because remember, if we were to say minus 7 plus 7, that is going to reduce that to 0. Right? And then it's just going to be the plus 7 on this side. So what you can think about is that the number will take the sign in front of it, and when it goes over the equal sign, it will become the opposite operation. So we would leave out it on this side because we know that the total of that is going to cancel out each other. But when we move it over the equal sign, then it becomes the opposite. And so 2x is equal to 2y minus 7 leads us to x plus 7 is equal to 2y. So now we have 2y. So this 2 is doing something. It is multiplying. So when it goes over the equal sign, it does the opposite. It divides. So we have to divide the entire 2x plus 7 by the 2, and that's where we get our answer. Y is equal to x plus 7 all divided by 2. So let's look at this other one. I think this is the final one that we'll be looking at for today. A is equal to pi r squared, and we're going to make r the subject of the formula. So just take 20 seconds to do this, and then we'll show you how to do it on screen. Okay, so this one is a bit toughy, right? So we want to make r the subject of the formula. So the first thing we need to do, is we divide both sides by pi. So we get rid of pi because pi is multiplying the r here. So what we need to do, we divide both sides by pi, and so we end up with a over pi is equal to r squared. But what's the opposite of square? As you can see, the opposite of square is square root. So the square root of r squared is r. So we have to find the square root of a over pi, and that would give us the value for r. So now I encourage you to join the class. I'll be doing more topics. If there's a topic that you would like me to cover, be sure to leave it in the comments below. If there's something that you did not understand, be sure to leave it in the comments below. You can also send us an email. I'll soon give you the email address, or you can telephone us or WhatsApp us, and we'll try and assist you as best as possible. But join the class. The class ID for Maths grade 9 is NSIGA 5P, as you can see on screen. So that's the ID. So just go in Google Classroom, log in as I showed you in my previous video, and use that ID and you'll get into our math class. I have put an assignment that is due on October 17th, 2020. Even if you're watching this after that time and you want to go, the assignment will still be there, so you can go in and do that assignment. Once those come in, I'll mark them, and then you will be able to see your grade and get some practice to see how well you are understanding this transposition. Private lessons are also available. You'd have to call or email us, and then we can arrange such a lesson. Our phone numbers are 876-405-8217 or 210-9750 or 561-1580. We do PEP, we do CSEC in various subject areas. So if you have a weakness, or if your child has a weakness and you want them to improve, you can make arrangement and we'll be able to assist them to get their math grade or their English grade or their science grade up. So you can also send us an email, TutorsJamaica@gmail.com. We check our email regularly, so once you just send us an email, and remember to put the appropriate subject line. So the other thing is, how can you contribute? You can contribute by sending us flow credit to the numbers on screen. You can send us funds via MyCash. That's the Sagicor MyCash card, using the phone number as indicated, and this information will also be in the comments below. You can send us funds via Western Union. The detail is on screen. You can call us for further details. But one of the main contributions that I need from you right now is for you to subscribe. Right? Share the link with persons you know it will help. Like this video, view this video, watch a video in its entirety, and of course comment to let me know what is going on. Of course, I do this using mobile data, which is why I'm asking for the credit. Yeah, so remember to like, share, subscribe, view, comment, get others to watch the video, and then ensure that you give me some feedback as to how is this video helping you, that sort of a thing. Thanks for watching. That's it for today. Remember to leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.